Yo, what's up? This is your boy Derek Brenshift, Saint Discussions on Strikes on Sports. And tonight we got a special guest with us. We got the editor-in-chief of Saints News Network, Pelican Scoop, and HBCU legends, Kyle Mosley. Welcome to the show. What's going on, sir?
D, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I'm just trying to, navigate through this rough season with the New Orleans Saints, man. So
It's
tonight, man,
holiday season, man. It's
yeah,
holiday. You gotta be full of cheer.
yeah, but I'm kind of used to this team, winning 7-9 straight, like they usually do during this time. It just ain't been happening these last couple of years, man. But I remember it was something not to take for granted from
Yeah,
what I see
yeah.
now, man. Man. All
Look,
right,
I
man.
grew up, but
Go
see,
ahead.
look, this is the difference, man. Guys, I grew up. I'm 57. I'm as old as the team is. So
Yeah.
I grew up where it was horrible, terrible. The Aints and all that other stuff, and still selling out the Superdome, just trying to win one game. That's
Yeah.
where I was, man. So, yeah, we were spoiled through the Sean Payton and Drew Brees era, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I remember growing up, like some games be a blackout, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah,
When it was a Monday night football, the game would be blacked out, but the only way you
blackout.
could get the updates by like they'll do the WWL do like a little news update and show the highlights and they'll
Yeah,
just go right back off. Like you wouldn't
yeah,
get the
yeah.
full score till the 10 o'clock news. But yeah, it came a long way though. So
Yeah. Yeah.
all right, gonna go right into it, man. So I gotta ask you, when this so-called easy schedule first came out back in, I believe, May, and you saw the games, you saw the supposedly mediocre quarterbacks they were facing. What record did you have the Saints at by the bye week after the Minnesota game?
Okay, so that's a good question, man, because I don't think I did it after the bye week. My my projected schedule was 11 and 6 for the Saints. That's what
Yeah,
I
I'm saying, but
projected.
like by the bye week though, like where you thought they
Yeah,
would be in a good spot or
yeah. I thought they would have a winning record
yeah,
at least by 2 games. But when we look at this Saints team, man, you have to. I think Kamara was the only one that really hit it on the head. They have an identity crisis,
right.
and when you go into the locker room after those games and you interview those guys, you can tell they want to be professional, but they don't want to be butt heads. But you could tell there was tension even back after game 3, game 4 and everything when they were losing. So all I'm saying is this, D. I think right now, if I had to do a reevaluation, I thought they would at least come out of this stretch going into the final to at least win all of their games
Yeah,
except the Lions game.
right.
That's what I thought. And
Yeah,
possibly
yeah,
losing one of those divisional games. But I knew the Lions game was going to be tough for them.
right. Yeah, that's kind of weird the way I saw it as well. Cause I kind of felt like, and I kind of like did it in a row. Kind of, so I thought, well, maybe they go 6-0 to start off. Then when they played Jacksonville, which is a good team, not a great team, I felt like they would lose that game. And then I think they would just continue to roll on. Then when they played Minnesota, I felt like they've had issues playing in Minnesota in the past, so that would have been a loss. But by that time, they would have like at least 8 wins under their belt. And these losses wouldn't be, you know, detrimental. It wouldn't
Yeah,
really hurt them going into the bye week, and they'll just go get right back on track. But it's just been up and down, man. Just I
it's a
don't
different
really get it,
season.
man.
It's
Go
a
ahead.
different season, D. I'm going to say this. This game coming up is a pivotal game for the whole franchise,
Right.
not just for a coach, not just for the offensive coordinator, for this whole franchise, because we've heard the stay the course message since the beginning of last year.
Yeah.
Not the guys. If you examine that those press conferences, Dennis Allen has been consistent with that part of his message about staying uh, course and not putting the light on somebody and trying to throw them under the bus or anything to that nature. And you can appreciate that from your head coach that he's not going to bust people out. But the bottom line is if they don't win this game and Atlanta does win their game and you're 2 games behind the 8 ball,
Yeah.
that's a problem.
Right.
That's the problem I saw in losing that Atlanta game and even losing that Vikings game. That was 2 issues. You cannot keep losing NFC games as well. That's one other part of the equation that people kind of overlook. If you keep on losing NFC and that's division and conference games, right? Man, how will you? Let's say you do get in the hunt for a wild card, but where would you be?
Yeah.
Because you lost those
Green
NFC
Bay.
games.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, I
know,
saw that they lost to Green Bay, you lost to Minnesota. So even if you do finish the season with the same record as them, they got the tiebreaker of you because they beat you, and they got this game against the Rams that's coming up that I really don't. I just don't
and
like the way it's looking
they're
because
doing well, right?
yeah, yeah, and Sean McVay prime time setting. You on the West Coast. I just don't like
Look,
the optics of that game. You know,
look at the teams right now. The Lions are angry.
right?
They got embarrassed on TV. They came
Mm-hmm.
back out. They won. So now you go into this game against the Saints. You're angry because what happened with Thanksgiving
Yeah,
against the Green Bay Packers, and now you want to be able to, you can smell the blood.
right.
You think Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn are going to walk in here and just let the Saints cakewalk?
Mm-hmm.
And that team is hungry for to be the top seed, and that's what they're fighting for. They're trying to be one of the top seeds in the NFC. They may not be number one because that's Philadelphia, but they're certainly trying to get number 2 spot, right? Then if we go and lose against who's the next team? You say the Rams, right? Then you got a problem, and then you got the Giants. You got another problem, right? Because they're surging
Bad.
all of
Yeah,
a sudden.
yeah. So there's
This team
nothing.
has to win this game.
Yeah, yeah. Nothing could be. Nothing could, no, none of these teams could be taken lightly. That's just the
Nobody,
craziness of the NFL, man. Just
not even the
disparity,
Panthers, coming up.
right? Because that might be the game. That might be the game. Bryce Young put it all together. You never know.
Exactly. Yeah. You
Uh,
look at the pattern. CJ Stroud. I was at that game in Houston, man. I who would have thunk it?
right.
You saw what's the guy from the Green Bay, Jordan Love.
Sean
Who
Love,
would have
yeah.
thunk it? Right? Those
Mm-hmm.
games, those collapse, especially in the fourth quarter, with the defense that we have, with the personnel that we have, were very telling signs. And I know you hear Mickey Loomis and those guys trying to. Mickey Loomis said that the team can win with everybody who's in the building. Yes, you can win, but can you win with the coaches that's in the building?
Right.
Right. Those are some of the issues that people have been pointing out since last season, but the team still has wanted to stay the course.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's just been getting lit up on social media, man. I've seen some of these tweets, man. It's like when they lose, everything comes out. All these theories of maybe the Razor Kane guy should buy the team, and Miss Benson she don't care, or Derek Carr not spending enough time in the city. Drew did this to Drew. Well, he's different, man. He ain't Drew Brees. That's like my goodness, man. All right, but we'll
So,
see, man. Go
Derek,
ahead.
let me ask you a question, man. And you've been covering the Saints for a while. look at the track record of the people you bring in. Did Derek Carr show that over the past several seasons that he is a perennial winner?
No, he's just been a up and down quarterback. He have these spurts where he's really good, and then it's just like when you expect him to deliver, it's like, what happened?
Yeah. One playoff that he wasn't even a part of that playoff,
Yeah,
right? Um, Now, is he a good quarterback? Has he been able to put up good statistics? This team has been able to move the football, but they can't get it over that hump, getting into the end zone on a consistent basis, right? And that's the one thing that everybody's been hearing from Dennis Allen is how consistent can we be? And we're inconsistent. And well, what's going to make you consistent? That and do you say the consistency is through the coaching, is through the players, or combination of? It's. I mean, you talk about the season's almost at this end. So when do you fix the inconsistency?
right. Well, what do you think is the driving cause behind the red zone issues? Despite they have, I look at the stats today, they're like 12, the 12 ranked best offense in the league, and a few other metrics, and is they're like dead last in the red zone where you can't, where you got to put up your points at. What do you think is the driving cause behind those issues, in your estimate, your opinion?
It could be the type of plays that are being called within the red zone. It could be the strategy as well. You've seen where Pete Carmichael has been aggressive at times, but the execution has failed. Then you've seen where the execution was on point, just good defense against those guys. Then you've seen times where none of it was working, you know,
Right.
no matter what type of plays they were calling. If you have a guy like Taysom Hill who has to have at least 7+ touches in the game, you have a guy like Kamara who has to have the ball at least, I think it's what, 12, 13+ times in the game to be effective. Why would you stay away from the formulas that really got you there? You don't have Michael Thomas, concussion. Without Rashid now, who's going to replace him? So those are some of the things that they're going to have to really work through to be able to say, how can we get into the end zone when we get to that 20? You shorten the field, defenses know it. Do you have those weapons? I'm still at a loss why they're not utilizing Jawan Johnson more and why they're not utilizing the height of Jimmy Graham. Jimmy Graham has been a healthy scratch most of the season, right? So you know a guy, he may not be as fast as he was once before, but he still knows how to get into the end zone, position his body, and play jump ball. If you're coming to look, I played ball. I was the shortest guy on the court because my brothers and his friends were 6 years older than me. So if I
Right.
had to play ball, I had to know how to get them the ball, right? And use their height to their advantage. So that's the thing I don't understand why we're not playing more strategically in our red zone situations. Maybe there are, but I don't know if Mr. Carmichael is thinking the same way that Sean Payton would have thought.
Yeah, because it's strange because Carr during his time with the Raiders was really good at throwing to a tight end, you know,
Yeah,
and
Waller, think about it. Him
right,
and Waller, they were good.
and ain't like he's never had weapons before. He's had some really good talent around him, you know. And another thing that I kind of find that's kind of messed up as well is that they can't even like run the football. Now I'm not talking about like with Taysom Hill. I'm talking about like have a guy back there like a Latavius Murray where you could give him the ball, 20 to 25, carries a game where he could just take some pressure off a car, take the ball out of his hand for a little bit, and try to control the time of possession. That way, that defense, which is looking slower by the week, off, give him a breather. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it just,
So a
yeah,
good running game, like you said, helps the quarterback that's struggling, right?
right,
Jamal Williams was supposed to be that guy they signed to be able to take that pressure off the quarterback. But if you look at some of the plays and some of the situations they've been in this season, you're seeing more calls for passes
yeah,
versus the run. There's been an impatience with the run. And by the time when you want to run, the other team has a lead. So those are some of just a few of the situations why the run game has not been working out. I think the run game will still be able to work out. You got three guys who can run the football: Taysom Hill, Alvin Kamara, and Jamal Williams.
right,
Right? Sometimes you got to get old school, man, and
yeah,
sometimes you got to look at those tackles. Remember, was it 2 games ago when the tackles were injured, and they still wanted to throw the football?
right,
Well, if the tackles are injured, why aren't you calling more plays that's suited to the tackles that you have in the game that you can be able to run the football and kind of get 3, 4, 5 yards at a pop, instead of trying to get the big chunk plays when you need more time. And also, Carr has been taking a little bit more time trying to recognize who his guys are on the field. Now, everybody said, like you said, they're 12th in the league in
yes, total
total
offense.
offense.
Yes,
There are 400 yards of offense out there, but that 400 yards can be misleading. Is it
yes,
400 yards where you are aggressor, or is it 400 yards you've been passive and now you got to make up the difference?
right. Yeah, it's a misleading stat, man, because in the playoffs, you got to get in the red zone, man. You can't, this defense, it ain't the Baltimore Ravens, it ain't Tampa Bay Buccaneers where they could get an interception and, you know, get a pick six and, just live off of field goals by then because your defense is so stout. It's not that type of defense. They got to put up points, you
Yeah,
know?
man. You look at what Jalen Hurts did. Remember, the
Yeah,
Eagles were down at halftime, right? This
right,
past weekend. And they just came back, made minor adjustments, and they started putting their game into play.
right,
And that's what people wanted to see from the Saints, to will their game onto the opponents. I think it's been kind of vice versa. And when you can't play that way in today's NFL.
right. Let me ask you this too. Um, so going back to training camp, in your opinion, in your observations, do you think this team has a preparation issue on how to get ready for the season?
I don't. I
You
don't
know?
think they have a preparation issue. I think the execution has been off. How do I say this? I think the execution has been off a little bit. I think it has to do with what Alvin Kamara said, and I have to go back to this because under Sean Payton, what were we were aggressive,
Right.
right? Sean Payton was going to get into you, right?
Yes.
Do you have that same type of feeling? If you could say who is Dennis Allen, can you say that about Dennis Allen? Can you say that about Pete Carmichael?
No.
Right? Though that's what I'm saying, is that the identity, a team takes on the identity of its coach.
Yes.
Right? I
Right.
remember any manager I had, any leader that I was under, when I was at 35, Mr. Harris was my band director. He was tough, gritty, and we're gonna get him. We're gonna get in there stuff. He wasn't passive. Oh, nah. He was like, let's get it. And that's the attitude we took, and we believed that we could be able to be the best band in the land. That's what you
Right.
got to have from a head coach. And some of those post game speeches, you think you hear it out of Dennis Allen, right? I don't know,
Right.
because in the locker room after those games, sometimes the tone is not jovial, it's not happy, it's not, we did it.
Yeah.
It's not that way, man.
All right. So let me ask you this: on to the future. So with this loss, this recent loss against the Falcons, the current draft status, the current draft order has the Saints picking at 12. With this QB, with this QB class that's coming out in 2024, do you anything? And if things continue to spiral out of control, should the Saints consider taking a quarterback to go along with
That's
Jake
an easy
Hammond?
answer. Come on, D. That's an easy answer, man. Yes.
Think so?
Yes. Yeah. Come on, man. Um, I was talking to a college coach,
Right.
and he said, Mosley, I don't have the guy I want. I got a guy on the field,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have the guy I want. And sometimes you don't have the guy you want.
Right.
You have the guy that's out there. you know, the Saints invested heavily in getting Derek Carr into the building. Now, I'm not giving up on Derek Carr, but I am saying we got to have a contingency plan in place, because we didn't have a contingency when Drew Brees left. Didn't have one, right?
Right.
Well, we did, Jameis, but
Yeah, but
no one foresaw that injury.
no.
But what's kind of strange is how the next regime didn't see Jameis in the same light, right?
Right.
That's all I'm saying, man. I think Jameis, he feels as though he can be able to help this team. He still has that passion to want to help this team. But in order to do that, he has to have that support from the leadership. And I don't know if that is going to ever be in place once because Derek Carr is Allen's guy.
Yeah.
That's the guy he wanted. That's the guy they paid 100 million to,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So, so right now, man, Jameis is in a quandary.
So I never asked you this in the past, but what would you have wanted the Saints to do? You know, you prefer them to sign you when Carr was available. That was the guy you felt like they should have go after, or you felt like they should have just run it back with Jameis and Andy
And
Dalton, save that money and
well,
go a
did
different
they win
route with
with
it.
Andy Dalton?
No, but I mean, he kind of got him. He got him in the end zone. That red zone issue was the real problem.
Yeah, but did they win with Andy
They
Dalton?
didn't. They didn't.
Okay, all right. Did Jameis have a better winning record as the starting quarterback versus Andy Dalton,
He sure did.
percentage wise? Okay.
He,
I suspect, because Jameis is a different cat,
right.
right? There may be some communication, cultural disconnect,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Look at that Atlanta game, first game of the season. I'm watching Jameis bring that team back when he got a chance to run the offense he wanted to run, not the dink and dunk that Carmichael was playing. When they had to get back in the game, let's go forward. Jameis is a gunslinger a little bit, The guy is a winner. So you can't tell me a Heisman Trophy winner and the guy who just had his school to enshrine him can't win. Right?
Right.
Hold on one second. I don't want to lose you guys. Can you still hear me, Derek?
I hear you. I hear you.
All right. So, yeah, my phone needs to be charged, guys. I apologize. So, all I'm saying is this, D. I think Jameis is a winner. I don't know if he's the type of winner that Coach Allen wants running his team.
Right.
So,
Okay.
and it's not a, every coach has his preference, who he wants and what they want for their leaders, right? So not knocking him for that. I'm just saying I don't know if Jameis is that guy that he wants. If that was
So
the
do you
case,
think
he would have invested in James.
right? So do you think that this system is being this is pretty much the Drew Brees offense, and when
Is it?
Taysom in there, they pretty much let him do whatever he wants. But do you think that this system is being force feeded on these quarterbacks that we have now, and instead of letting these guys just utilize their traits to win games instead of forcing this Drew Brees type system on them?
That's across the National Football League. That's across the National Football League. That's why the Bills got rid of their offensive coordinator and promoted Joe Brady, right? And if you saw the difference of how Josh Allen responded when Joe Brady was in calling plays, they had over 500 yards of offense. Think about that. You know, they almost won that game against the best team in the National Football League. But you've got to, I always had that school of thought, all right, if I'm the leader and you're my floor general, if I'm playing ball, if you're not playing the way I want you to play, I got to figure out how to accentuate your strengths and allow you to play the way you want to play the game, and how we could be able to come to a common page and say, this is the strategy going forward, right? Because you may lose a guy through attrition, through injury, through whatever. You've got to play up on that person's strength. And as a manager, if I had one of my subordinates who I know he was not good on communicating with, let's say, a customer,
Right.
I have to either two things: work with him on the communication, but if he's damn good at sales, I'm going to say, just keep doing what you're doing on the sales side. If you have a problem with the customer, give them to me. All right, let me handle. I don't know, in today's NFL, you got too many guys who have that play sheet. They're sitting on the sideline with that play sheet, calling that play, right? I remember when Archie Manning, Terry Bradshaw, Dan Marino, all those guys were calling their own plays.
Yeah.
Okay, man. Sorry about that, guys.
All right, all right, no problem. All right, I'm
Sorry
good.
about that.
All
Yeah,
right.
my phone, I thought the charge was going to work, but it didn't. So, all right. Had to go to the emergency room. So here we go. So what I was saying, D, is that guys in the old days, they used to call their own plays, right? And there was no such thing as the offensive coordinator sending in this or sending in that. I think we have come to a day and age where offensive coordinators want to control how things look because they want to control it because of their jobs on the line. All right. And therefore, coaches don't have faith in the quarterbacks to be able to call the plays. They have faith in more of their buddies who they hired to be able to call the plays. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. All right, I'll get y'all on this one. Bold prediction. Last game of the year against the Atlanta Falcons. Gotta ask you, who will be the winner of the NFC South by that time? And Will Dennis Allen be the Saints head coach beyond 2023? Based off.
Man, that I can't really answer the head coach scenario because I think a lot of that hinges on how things happen over the next couple of weeks, right? What I will say is this: if the Saints lose against the Detroit Lions and as well as lose against the Rams, you could call it a wrap. That's what I would say. Um, will he still be here as the head coach? I'm not sure because Mrs. Benson loves Dennis Allen, and I think Mickey Loomis wants to try to figure out a way to be able to make this work, right? There was a time, remember, guys, Sean Payton went 7-9, 3 consecutive seasons, right? And it was Tom Benson who talked Mickey Loomis out of firing Sean Payton at that time. And what happened next? 13-3, 12-4, 13-3, 13-3, right? So all I'm saying is, I think when you listen to the conservative approach of Mickey Loomis, I think he has to see some sort of improvement. And the fans have to see some sort of improvement.
Right.
I recall, and Derek, I'm on the plane with fans coming from all across the country to come see the Saints play. People are spending thousands of dollars of their own hard good money to see and support the team. We have to be able to, as a team, be able to put a good product out there for them to see.
Okay. All right, man. Let the folks know they could find your work at on social media, all these sites and your platforms.
Well, first of all, Derek, thank you, man. Appreciate you having me on. You guys always follow him because he does an excellent job writing and producing these podcasts as well. But as far as me and my team, John Hendricks, Bob Rose, as well as Ross Jackson, as well as myself, you can find us at Saints News on Twitter, as well as on Facebook, as well as on Instagram. And you can check me out at KTMOZE on Twitter as well. But you can always follow us on our Sports Illustrated site. Go to si.com/NFL/Saints, and you can check us out there. Okay?
All right, so we have y'all for right now. Give us a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Let us feel. Listen to this through Spotify, Apple, Odyssey, Amazon. Leave your thoughts. Leave a review. And we'll see you next week. Have a blessed night. Peace. We out.
All right. Peace.